Guys, I'm so excited we are here with Mark Timm, who is the co-author of this amazing book, Mentor to Millions, which if you've been following me on social media for any measure of time, you've seen like I had a whole unboxing video about this amazing gift package that he and Kevin Harrington sent, delivering the book and some other goodies. I felt really special. And then I was promoting it all over social media, just holding the book. And then we had that amazing live stream on your summit, Mark. So I'm really grateful for your time. I know you are so busy doing the speaking circuit around your book launch. Thanks for being here. How's it all going?
It's fantastic, Amber, and I just want to say thank you. It's going so well because of people just like you. You really find out who your friends are when you come out with a book.
That's true.
And so I'm here to tell you, I can say this because we're live right now. If you go on Amazon, you will see us as the #1 book in parenting and relationships, which I'm super proud of for all the reasons you know. We are the #1 in entrepreneurship, which Kevin Harrington is super proud of for all the reasons you know. We also are #1 in work-life balance. We're #1 in mentorship and coaching and a whole bunch of other categories. In fact, right now at this moment, we're the top 10 overall book on Amazon right now.
Oh, what?
Yeah, you go on the Kindle, we are #9. And then overall, we're in the top whatever ranking. So yeah, so it's and we have some dear friends that are coming out to promote it. There's a chance we could get to #1 before the week is over. But anyway, at this stage of the game, it's about getting the message out. It's just about getting the message out, and the message is resonating. We're getting so many positive comments and feedback. I mean, I'll just go right there. Okay, to be #1 in parenting and relationships off of a mentorship book is like, that was my personal goal. Like there's a lot of business lessons in here, a lot of relationship lessons, but to get #1 in parenting and relationships was like huge for me because I personally believe that our family is the most important business that we will ever mentor. And so if that message came loud and proud to people, I'm so happy.
Okay, guys. So I met Mark earlier this year. And we had a conversation. I knew that he was going to be launching this book. And I knew I wanted to be involved in some way because of the story that he told me. So Mark, you got to share it again. I'm sure like you talk about it to death right now, but like you got to share it again just to humor me. The story about how you were working really hard, brilliant serial entrepreneur, very successful, and that moment when you drove into your driveway. I don't want to spoil it.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'll tell you what, I will be the spoiler because I will just actually tell you that, it has been probably the thing I have talked about the most. And our publisher, I'm just going to read it right out of the book, said it's one of the most compelling lines, the first lines they've ever read in a book. And it goes like this: halfway up my driveway, I realized I did not want to go home. Now, the reasons for not wanting to go home should be I filed bankruptcy, I lost a lot of money, I made a lot of bad decisions. But that day it was because I had just crushed it. I had the biggest sale of my life happen that day. I had made every decision with confidence and clarity. And I was sitting at the end of my driveway because I knew the second I got home, that feeling that I had that I was invincible was going to end. Like I was leaving a world of confidence and clarity and going to a world of chaos and confusion. And frankly, selfishly, I'm sitting down there because I don't want it to end. I want to keep that feeling. And it was that moment that I realized I have everything wrong. Like I'm 180 degrees from where, I was put on this earth to be. I should be feeling this way at home. I should be practicing in my business so that I can perfect it at home. And that's when it hit me at that moment that the business I was going home to was the most valuable business in the world, that I will never work for, never be a part of a business worth more than the one I was going home to that day. And yet when I left that morning, I thought I was going to it. And I realized the worlds were completely opposite. So I sped home. I literally did some crazy things. I legally incorporated my family. You can look it up, Timm's LLC.
Incorporated his family.
Yeah, because I had to. Like I knew desperate times call for desperate measures. And I'm like, I have to get this right. I was put on this earth to lead my family, not to lead businesses. I have to do this. And so I'm like, what do I do? And I'm like, well, you know what I'm going to do? Anything I do in business, I'm just going to do it at home. And I'm like, well, if I was starting a business, I would incorporate it. So I'm like, I'll incorporate it. And my youngest child has the same amount of shares that I do. And we'll start having shareholder meetings. And we did a logo, Amber. This was so cool. So we used 99 designs. And,
Yep.
and at one point, we had 185 designers from around the world competing for our family's little logo. And so it was 50 a day sometimes. And we were just like pouring through these logos, and the family got such a charge out of it. And they felt so much ownership from it. And we came up with a mission statement, and, we figured out, why were we put on this earth, and what's our bottom line, and what's our contribution to the world going to be? And we really became a real business. And my kids are now young adults. This was 7 or 8 years ago that I started this experiment. And I'm here to tell you that it changed their life forever. They will never be the same. The trajectory that it put them on, because I started being the CEO of my most valuable business, because I started giving them my best and my first instead of my last and my least. It changed everything for them and for me.
I can't even imagine it. Like, I've heard the story multiple times now, and every time it's like the first time. It's because you don't hear anybody sharing this kind of advice. And I can only imagine the impact in your family unit. So how many children do you have? Because most people might not know that.
Six kiddos, 3 boys, 3 girls. And since we're in the business of spoiling, we're just teasing. You got to buy the book, okay?
You got to buy the book.
Now you know how it opens. I'm going to tell you how it closes, because I literally had some people today email me writing there on their keyboard in tears because of the epilogue. And they said it was the most profound epilogue that they'd ever read, because what it does is it shows you where I started on that driveway moment. And the epilogue takes you to the finish line, where I have young adult children now, and I'm speaking to this conference in Hungary. And the conference director gets up on stage, and I've had my kids with me the whole time. And he says, I was going to bring Mark up to speak one last time, but I'd rather bring his kids up. And so my kids are going, no. But they went up anyway, begrudgingly. And he put a microphone in their hand. I can't prep them. I can't tell them what to say. And he just said, what was it like to grow up the child of an entrepreneur? And kids can just be so raw, so real. Yeah. And they passed the microphone down. And, my kid said, when my dad was an entrepreneur, when he was first an entrepreneur, we hated it. We hated what he did. We hated his business because he was always gone. He's always missing things, and we wished he would do anything else. But then a few years ago, we became his most valuable business. And now we love him being an entrepreneur. We wouldn't want our dad to be anything but an entrepreneur. And we're so thankful that he got it right. And their lives have been forever changed. And the things they've gone on to do as young people. I just came from my oldest son, just bought his own first house with cash, and he's flipping it. Okay. Because we taught him in our family business, we taught a lot about finances, and he's so financially sensible. And at the age of 22, he had enough cash to buy a house for cash and flip it. And I didn't give him any of it. Okay. And so that's the kinds of things that have happened as a result of my family becoming my most valuable business. And that's not alone. I mean, I could go on and tell you stories about how we implemented this family business concept and what it has done to the trajectory of our kids. And if you're listening out there, here's the important thing I want you to know is that I still drive the same truck that I was driving that day in that driveway moment. I still live in the same house. I'm still married to the same woman. I still have the same children. Yet our lives are all profoundly changed. And the only thing that changed was me. What changed was what I was thinking. What changed was what was in between my ears. And because I made that shift in mindset and that shift in intentionality, it changed our family's trajectory forever. So if you think you have to change where you live, change what you do, if you think you have to change who you're with, you're wrong. You first must change between your ears and then step back, because magical and wonderful things are about to happen.
Oh, guys, my audience is full of entrepreneurs. So what I'm asking now to the viewers is please, please do me a favor and tag at least 2 entrepreneur friends that you have in the comments below, because entrepreneurs desperately need to hear this message, especially now in a time of COVID where there are little boundaries, right? What I've observed is a lot of people are just working around the clock, and therefore, how that affects and impacts the family dynamic is massive. So please allow them to come in, listen to this replay and this message. Also, go buy a copy of this book.
And I'm going to tell you something really cool, and that is, and it's only right now. Our publisher, because we hit all the #1 rankings, and so our publisher allowed us, once we proved that this book was going to be epic, we asked the publisher, would you please drop the price of the digital version, either on Kindle and Nook, to 99 cents for just a couple days. So that just happened. And we're now one of the top 10 books on all of Amazon Kindle right now. We're #9, and we're on our way to #1. And I really believe, now this book is going to help entrepreneurs. It's going to help you with business. There's all kinds of wonderful business ideas. But the reason our publisher bought this book and gave us an advance, and the reason I think this book is resonating, is the family message, because it's the holy grail to win at home and win at work. And that's really at the heart of this book. Yes, we'll teach you how to win at work in this book. Okay. It's all over it. But we're also going to end every chapter showing you how you can take what you've learned and apply it at home to your most valuable business. And what if, all of you entrepreneurs out there, what if you were just practicing in your business world so you could perfect it at home? And if you develop that mindset, step back, because things that can happen at home with your marriage, with your relationship with your kids, the relationship I have with my kids right now, I wouldn't have even allowed myself to say publicly 8 years ago that was even possible. But I now have a relationship that's so deep and so profound that I get to parent my kids for the rest of their lives, because they see me now as not just their father, but their mentor. And that's why it's a shocker. You tag people and say, guess what the #1 book in parenting is right now? And they're going to guess 1,000 different titles, and it won't be that. It's going to be Mentor to Millions, because right now families need mentorship more than they've ever needed it in modern history.
I completely agree. So tell me, where does Kevin Harrington fit into this story? I know, but the audience does.
Well, of course, Kevin was my mentor. So I went to him because I wanted to learn how to scale businesses. Like, he is the original shark from Shark Tank. I made a pitch. I made my best pitch of my life to get him to be a mentor, right? And I told him, you're crazy busy. I will make this easy for you, and I will be your best student. And I did all 3 of those things. And he started teaching me scale. Like I am on my way. Okay. I'm going to share this. I'm not trying to be boastful at all, but I had never taken a business over $8 million ever in my life. And I know that's a good sized business, but I felt like I could do more. I am now on my way to my first $100 million business, and it is because of the mentorship of Kevin Harrington. Wow. I'm achieving sales that I didn't even dream was possible. And again, the only thing keeping me from going above 8 million was me. It was just me. Okay. It wasn't the economy. It wasn't customers. It was just me. And so once I got out of my own way, and I listened to my mentor and I implemented what he was saying, I'm now well on my way to the biggest business of my life. But here's the cool part. I'm learning all this stuff from Kevin, but I'm taking what I learned from Kevin and I'm scaling at home. Like, all the stuff that I'm learning from him, because guess what? What I'm doing at home is way bigger than $100 million. Like, that's why I say I'm CEO of the most valuable business in the world. I wouldn't take $1 billion. I wouldn't take $100 billion. I wouldn't take $1 trillion for my family. And so it may be impressive what I'm doing in business, but it's not nearly as impressive as what I feel like I've been able to do at home with my business of family. And so, so Kevin played a vital role in teaching me amazing concepts that are in the book, by the way, like aggressive curiosity, follow the eyeballs, how to build a dream team, how to get a plan, how to scale. But then you'll see in the book, when we get done talking about dream team, I turn around and show you how you can build a dream team at home. When we get done talking about scale, I talk about how you could scale at home. So every business.
I love this book. It's so well done.
it just flips everything on its head. Like it just, you can apply everything you learn in your business. So don't get me wrong. You can scale your business. You can grow your business. You can do everything in this book in your business, but you can also do it all at home. And that's really the message I wanted to get out to the world. I want to help entrepreneurs like me. And by the way, the only reason I can have this conversation with you, Amber, is because I got it wrong longer than I've gotten it right. And I know what it feels like to get it wrong. And I don't want anybody else to feel like that.
Yeah. So I have to ask you, really searching back on all the conversations that you've had with Kevin, I know there were lots. And when you think about everything that you had to overcome here in order to get where you are today, both in your business and at home, is there one thing, a moment, something he said to you that was like, oh my gosh, that's the one thing that like really hit you between the eyes?
Yeah. And this is, by the way, this is a lesson I learned that is so valuable. And we are wired, Amber, to always try to get the best deal. Like if you go and buy a car and you get this great deal, you're like telling your friends and telling your parents and telling your brother and sister, oh, I got this great deal. But guess what? If you got a really great deal, it's probably a one-time deal. Or if you went and bought something from somebody and you knew it was worth a lot more than they did, and you got it for this cheap price and you're going to sell it for 3 times as much, you're like bragging about it. Because we're wired to always look for the best deal. But when I was with Kevin and I watched him negotiate, I kept seeing him give back parts of the deal. I kept seeing people offer him 50% of their company, 40% of the company. And he'd go back and say, no, I only need 25%. No, I only need 30%. No, that's not, you're paying me too little, or you're paying me too much. I only want to be paid this. And I'm like, what is he doing? Like, that's just crazy. So I started being like, I got to know. And he put painful effort into always finding a fair deal. He never wanted to get a shark deal where he got the advantage of somebody, because what he learned in life is that if you get a shark deal, as soon as that deal scales, the other side is out. So they give 50% of the business, but as soon as it scales and they're doing more than 50% of the work, they're out. They want out. If you do a generosity deal where I'm just doing you a favor, Amber, I'm going to do this for you for just a little bit of money. And then it starts to scale and you're like, well, do it again. And I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. I was just being nice. And you're like, no, that was our deal. And as soon as it scales, I'm like, I'm out. And so the kind of deals we typically do are shark deals because we're proud of it, or generosity deals because we're trying to help someone. But that's why people don't get over a certain dollar amount, because as soon as their business scales, if their deals aren't fair, if their partners aren't being treated fair, they fail. The partnership fails, the deal fails. And so fair deals, there's only one scalable deal in the world, and that's a fair deal. Now, here's the catch. A fair deal is scalable to $1 million, to 10 million, to 100 million, to $1 billion. A fair deal is scalable infinitely because everybody's winning and everybody's happy about it. And so that's not what we're wired to do. Intuitively, we want the best deal. But if we get the best deal, it's not scalable. Therefore, we can't grow our business or scale our business to what it's capable of. We need to do like Kevin and put a lot of energy into making sure up front it's a win-win deal. It's a win-win partnership, because then we can scale it. And by the way, that applies exactly at home.
I was just thinking that, how that would apply.
Our relationships at home need to be fair. We need to be fair. We hold the cards as a parent. We can always slant it to be in our favor, any kind of deal that we make with our kids. That's why when my kids got a cell phone, we did a cell phone contract. I have a contract with AT&T. Why wouldn't I have a contract with my kids for the phone? And it was always very fair. It wasn't just because I said so. We spelled it out and we let them negotiate. And so, so the bottom line is that you need to have a fair deal with your family. Okay, for your time that you're going to give and for the things that you're going to be at, it always needs to be fair. It can't be, oh, I'm just being generous, because then your kids expect you to do it all the time. And then when it scales and they get older, you pull it back and they're like, what are you doing? It's because you didn't put the time into making sure that you were fair in what you were setting out. You skewed it because you were short on time or you weren't thinking it through. And so, so that's the thing. Oh, someone's asking me about a marriage contract. Hey, The bottom line is that I won't really speak into that one because I think that's a little too, that's a little too far, out there for me to speak into. But I do believe every single thing that
Yeah.
our kids did that was a major commitment, they had a contract. If they wanted to play sports, they had a contract. Their contract was they had to keep their grades up. They had to do their chores. If they didn't want to do those things, then they didn't play sports. And so, because our kids wanted to play sports. So anything major. Now, guess what? Our kids aren't afraid of contracts. Now that they're young adults, they've experienced mom and dad's contract.
Jeez.
They know what a shame if we send our kids out into the world and they have to sign a rent contract or a cell phone contract and they don't even know what it is. We've ill prepared them, but my family business prepared them because I ran it like a business and I taught them business ways of conduct. And so believe me, it made it so easy. When our kids messed up with their cell phone, we didn't have to argue. We just pulled the contract out and said, hey, hand it over. They signed it. If they didn't want the cell phone, don't sign the contract. Okay. It's very simple. And so,
No, thank you for sharing that. I hadn't heard you say that before. That is freaking brilliant. I love that. I know we're out of time. You have to get to your next speaking thing, but I'm going to ask you one last question.
Sure, go for it.
We have an audience full of authors that are launching their own books. And so they know how hard it is. It's a lot of work. And at this stage, it can feel like you're starting to burn out because you've just been pushing so hard for so long, even with a message that you fully believe in, you're making an impact in sales and all the things. But from that perspective, as an author in the middle of a successful launch, I'm curious, one of two things or both. What was something that you really learned during this process? And or what was one of the most meaningful moments that have happened during the launch so far? So what did you learn and what was meaningful?
Well, what was meaningful was because of the message I just gave, getting ranked as the #1 parenting and relationship book out there just brought me to tears. Brought me to tears because I wanted this book to help entrepreneurial families. I want you to win at home like you win at work. I really do. It's in the fabric of my being as a human. And so, I really want you to. And, so that's number one. Okay. And number two is this is the part that here is the biggest ninja tip I can give you. I got humble and courageous enough to just sit down and actually send a personal text message to everybody in my cell phone that I have a relationship with and ask them to please go out and check out my book. And I'm here to tell you, Amber, we sold more books from my own contact list than any strategy that we deployed during the entire launch. And I literally did it by sending one after another simple, personal messages asking them, would they please go buy my book? And people bought 2 books, 3 books, 5 books, 10 books. And most authors are too shy to do that. I was thinking I was too shy to do it. And I started doing it and I started getting this positive affirmation. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to do this. And it was the one single strategy that really took our book from really good sales to over the top. And I would encourage anyone to do that. If they do. Okay, so here's one last thing I'll put a plug in.
You have a lot of questions. Like I had to pop out.
If you'll go out and buy the book, buy it anywhere the books are sold, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, doesn't matter. And for the next couple days, it's 99 cents for the ebook. I'd love for you to buy the physical book as well, but start with the digital is fine. Then go over. Now, this is not really available to anybody, but it is to you, Amber, to your group. We did pre-sales when we were doing pre-orders for people who bought the physical book. We gave away 30 days of mentorship. So if you go to Kevin Mentor, so Kevin Harrington, go to kevinmentor.com. Put in your receipt number that you bought the book. I don't even care if it's the ebook, and we'll give you access to that, to that training. It's 30 days. It's a drip. You get videos from Kevin and I teaching you lessons about family, lessons about, it's me with Zig Ziglar teaching you. It's Kevin on business. And so 30 days of mentorship from Kevin and I at kevinmentor.com. And like I said, that ended last week, but I just want to throw it in there. I know my team will be fine with it. So anybody who's listening, you can go out there and you can get connected with me. Go to marktimm.com. If you want to learn more and hear more about my family and family messages, you can go to marktimm.com. And by the way, my website was redesigned by none other than the
Oh my gosh.
extraordinary Amber and her team. And by the way, it's a work in progress. We are just continuing to evolve it. But Amber's done a great job, and we love working with her. And can't wait to see what the future holds in our relationship, and what we'll be able to do with each other. So really appreciate you, Amber, your team, and your community. I mean, thank you. Maybe we can do I don't know, some kind of a epilogue, post book, in the future. We'll come back on and I'll just answer questions about this concept of business as family. I know it's a message that people are interested in.
Yeah, maybe in the new year we'll do a follow-up once you've like relaxed during the holidays a little bit, and then we can have like another micro launch and keep the magic rolling. So
Awesome.
Mark, I refuse to make you late to your next speaking engagement. Thank you so much. I really value you so much. Thank you for putting the effort into that game-changing book. Everybody go buy it, and we'll be in touch soon.
All right. Thanks, Amber. Appreciate you.
Bye.